You go to bed, carrying the weight of the day, worries, regrets, unfinished struggles. But what if tonight, you could lay all of it down? What if the very act of closing your eyes could reprogram your destiny? I'm about to show you the prayer that turns fear into peace and confusion into guidance. By the end of this video, you will know the exact prayer to speak before sleep, not a begging prayer, not wishful words, but a scientific prayer, proven to impress your subconscious mind. You will discover how to stop carrying fear into the night, and instead carry faith. You will see how one short practice can dissolve years of struggle and open a new path of peace, wealth, and guidance. If you've tried affirmations and felt nothing, this will show you why they failed and what works. I know how the night feels when worries do not stop. You lie down, but your mind repeats the same fears, the same pictures of failure. You pray, but you doubt, and the doubt cancels the prayer. I was once like this, searching for answers. What I discovered was simple. The mind works by law. If you feed it fear, it creates fear. If you feed it faith, it creates miracles. Tonight, I will give you the words that the subconscious accepts, and when it accepts, it must obey. In this lesson, I will reveal to you the night prayer that reprograms destiny. First, I will show you why the moments before sleep are the most powerful of the day. Then, I will guide you through the exact words and feelings to carry into the night. You will learn the mistakes most people make when they pray, and how to avoid them. You will hear stories of how this simple practice has brought healing, prosperity, and guidance to many. And finally, I will give you the prayer itself, so you can begin tonight. What you are about to hear may sound simple, but it is the key that opens the treasure house of your subconscious. Stay with me, for in the next few minutes you will discover what most people search for their whole lives and never find. When the sun goes down and your head touches the pillow, something remarkable begins to happen. Most people think of sleep as nothing more than rest for the body, a shutting down of the day, a pause button until morning comes. But the truth is the exact opposite. Night is not just rest. It is creation. It is the sacred doorway where the conscious mind steps aside and the subconscious mind takes command. And here is the secret most people completely miss. Whatever you hand over to your mind in that quiet, drowsy moment will work itself out through the night, silently shaping your tomorrow. Now think about that for a moment. How often do you close your eyes while replaying the arguments, the worries, the unfinished tasks of the day? You may not realize it, but by doing this you are giving your subconscious orders. You are saying, continue this pattern, keep this problem alive, let this fear grow roots. And the subconscious, like a loyal servant, like the obedient crew of a great ship, does exactly as commanded. It does not argue with you, it does not question you, it does not say, this is bad, let me stop. No, it simply obeys. And by the time the morning light appears, the seed of worry you planted at night has already grown a little taller, a little stronger, and it will show itself in the form of more anxiety, more confusion, more struggle. But let me tell you something else. This same law that multiplies fear can multiply faith. This same law that carries forward your doubt can also carry forward your dream. The night is sacred because the gate to your subconscious is wide open. Your conscious mind, that part of you that analyzes, questions, argues, and resists, grows quiet. As you drift into drowsiness, the critical faculty relaxes, and suggestion goes straight down into the fertile soil of the deeper mind. Whatever you impress at that hour, whether good or bad, true or false, will be accepted. And once accepted, the subconscious sets about bringing it into your world, as surely as the farmer who drops a seed into soil will one day see the harvest. Do you see the weight of this? Do you see the responsibility and the opportunity? If you go to bed rehearsing trouble, you will rise to meet more of it. But if you go to bed rehearsing peace, rehearsing wealth, rehearsing love, you are programming your destiny with those very things. The night is sacred because it is the one moment in your daily rhythm when you stand as the gardener of the soul, holding seeds in your hand, deciding what tomorrow shall bring forth. Will you plant weeds, or will you plant roses? Will you send down worry, or will you send down faith? So tonight, when your body lies down, remember this. You are not closing the day, you are opening tomorrow. You are giving orders to the most powerful part of your mind. And the prayer you speak in that moment is not a whisper into empty air, it is the blueprint of your future. This is why the night is sacred. This is why I tell you, what you do before sleep is the greatest secret of success or failure. And once you know this, you will never treat bedtime the same again. Here's something that most people overlook completely, and yet it is the very foundation of why the moments before sleep carry such unimaginable weight. The subconscious mind is a garden, and every thought you allow to linger in your awareness before sleep is a seed dropped into that garden. The thing about seeds is that they do not argue, they do not discriminate, they do not decide for themselves whether they will grow into something useful or something harmful. They simply take whatever is planted and, given the right conditions, they bring it forth into visible form. And your subconscious is no different. Whatever idea, whatever image, whatever phrase you allow to pass through your conscious mind into that quiet state of drowsy surrender, it is accepted as a seed, and that seed will germinate while you rest. Most people, without knowing it, are planting weeds every single night. They go to bed, thinking about the debts they cannot pay, the relationships that are strained, the pain in their body that has not gone away, and those thoughts fall like tiny seeds into the soil of the subconscious. They sleep, believing they are forgetting, but in truth their subconscious is working overtime nurturing those very weeds, and by morning the plant has already grown roots. Now pause with me and consider this picture. Imagine a farmer who has a plot of land rich with fertile soil. He has the choice every evening to scatter rose seeds or thorn seeds. He has full freedom to choose, yet instead of roses he throws down weeds. He does this every single night, and then by sunrise he walks through his field and cries, "Why is my land filled with thorns? Why does my life never change? Why do I see only struggle and pain?" You and I know the answer. The soil cannot choose. It only obeys the seed. The subconscious cannot choose. It only obeys the thought. If you plant worry, you harvest worry. If you plant doubt, you harvest failure. If you plant fear, you harvest misery. This is the law of the seed, and it never fails. But the good news, the very heart of this teaching, is that the soil does not care what you plant. It will produce roses just as easily as thorns, joy as easily as sorrow, abundance as easily as lack. And the moment you choose to plant different seeds, the harvest of your life will begin to change. So when I tell you that the prayer before sleep can reprogram destiny, I am not speaking of something mystical or beyond your reach. I am describing a law as exact and impartial as the law of gravity. Place a seed in fertile soil, and it must grow. Impress an idea upon the subconscious, and it must express. The question is never whether it will work. The question is only what seed you are planting, and this is why your last thoughts before you drift off to sleep are so sacred, because they are the seeds most easily accepted by the deeper mind. In those quiet minutes, when the conscious chatter fades, the soil is soft, receptive, wide open, waiting for your command. If you place a seed of health, if you whisper to yourself that every cell of your body is filled with divine life, the subconscious begins the work of healing. If you plant a seed of prosperity, affirming that wealth and success are yours, the subconscious begins to draw conditions, people, and opportunities into harmony with that belief. And if you plant a seed of love and peace, repeating that God's love fills your heart and flows out to all, the subconscious begins to harmonize your relationships and soften the hardness of life. This law has worked for the saint and the sinner alike, for the wise and the foolish, for those who understood and those who did not. The difference is awareness. The one who knows this truth plants deliberately and reaps deliberately. The one who ignores it plants by accident and reaps by accident, and then cries that life is unfair. But life is never unfair. The subconscious is never unjust. It is faithful, it is impartial, it is exact. It gives you tomorrow out of the seeds you plant tonight. And the night prayer is nothing more than the conscious act of sowing what you wish to reap, choosing roses instead of thorns, choosing peace instead of anxiety, choosing faith instead of fear. When you know this law and use it, you step out of the cycle of accident and into the power of creation. You become, in truth, the gardener of your destiny. What I am about to share with you may strike very close to home, because worry is one of the most common habits in the world, and yet it is also one of the most destructive. Worry seems small, harmless, even natural. You lie down at night, and your mind replays the unfinished business of the day, the unpaid bills, the uncertain future, the conversation you wish had gone differently. And because these thoughts come so easily, you assume they have no real power. But here is the danger most people never recognize. Worry is prayer in reverse. Worry is nothing but faith twisted in the wrong direction. When you worry, you are using the same law of the subconscious, the same process of imagination and feeling, but instead of planting seeds of peace, you are planting seeds of fear, and those seeds will grow into the very troubles you dread. The mind does not ask whether you like the picture you feed it. It only knows to reproduce it. And so each time you close your eyes while seeing yourself fail, or lose, or suffer, you are giving orders to the inner workshop of your life, and those orders are obeyed with precision. Now think of it like this. Suppose you walked into a garden at night carrying a bag of weeds, and you scattered them all over the soil. Would you expect to wake up in the morning and see roses? Would you be surprised to find the weeds had sprouted? Of course not. Yet this is exactly what people do when they fill their mind with worry before sleep. They lie down repeating, "What if I lose my job? What if the sickness grows worse? What if tomorrow brings disaster?" And those phrases, filled with emotion, drop into the subconscious like living seeds. By morning, the roots have already taken hold, and over time they grow into conditions and experiences that mirror the very worry that planted them. The law is simple and merciless. Whatever is impressed is expressed, and worry impresses fear, lack, and defeat more strongly than almost anything else. But let me give you another picture, one that shows the hidden cost of this habit. Imagine a captain at sea, standing at the wheel of a great ship. His crew listens to his orders and carries them out without question. If the captain shouts, "Steer into the rocks," the crew obeys, even though it means destruction. Now imagine that each night, before sleep, you as captain of your mind are giving orders. If you whisper to yourself in worry, "Trouble is coming, failure is certain," your subconscious crew obeys. They steer the ship of your life toward the rocks of hardship, not because they want harm, but because they cannot do otherwise. The subconscious does not argue, it does not resist. It simply carries out what is impressed upon it. And this is why worry is so dangerous. It is the captain's careless command. It is the voice that directs the ship into storms it could have avoided. And yet, here lies the good news. Just as worry can destroy, faith can create. Just as fear can sink the ship, confidence can guide it safely into harbor. The law does not change, only the seed changes. If you can imagine defeat, you can imagine victory. If you can feel the dread of sickness, you can feel the joy of health. If you can rehearse poverty in your mind, you can just as easily rehearse abundance. The power is the same. It is only the direction that differs. And this is why I say to you, guard the moments before sleep with utmost care. Refuse to let worry enter the chamber of your mind. Refuse to give your subconscious the seed of fear. Instead, offer it the seed of faith, the seed of peace, the seed of gratitude. For as surely as worry multiplies worry, faith multiplies blessing, and the choice is always in your hands. So the danger of worry is not only that it robs you of rest tonight, but that it steals from you tomorrow as well. It is the thief of peace and the architect of failure. But the moment you recognize it, the moment you refuse to surrender those precious nighttime minutes to fear, you break its power. You turn the law of the seed back in your favor, and you begin to plant consciously instead of unconsciously. And when you do this, when you replace worry with the night prayer of faith, you are no longer at the mercy of fear. You are at the helm of your life, steering toward health, wealth, and peace. That is the difference. That is the choice. And that is why the danger of worry must never again be taken lightly. Now let us come to the key that turns all of this law into something practical, something you can use this very night. I call it the key of suggestion, and it is simple, yet it holds the power to open the treasure house of your subconscious. Think of it this way. Your conscious mind is like the speaker, and your subconscious mind is like the listener. Whatever the conscious repeats with feeling, the subconscious accepts as true. It does not debate, it does not analyze, it does not argue, it listens, it believes, and it obeys. And the moments before sleep are when that listener leans in closest, when the wall of doubt and resistance is lowered, and every word you whisper, every picture you hold, every feeling you cultivate is received as a direct command. This is why I tell you the last 5 minutes of your day can shape the next 12 hours of your life. For suggestion at that sacred hour is not casual, it is creation. Now here is something most people never realize. Every thought that carries emotion is a suggestion. When you go to bed angry, replaying a quarrel, you are suggesting to your subconscious that conflict is what you desire, and it will faithfully create more of it. When you go to bed fearful, imagining sickness or poverty, you are suggesting that such things belong to you, and the subconscious, impartial as ever, will take that as an order. But when you go to bed with faith, when you repeat words of health, words of abundance, words of peace, you are suggesting that these are your reality, and the subconscious, like rich soil, receiving seed, begins immediately to bring them into being. Suggestion is the language of the subconscious. It does not respond to force. It responds to repetition, feeling, and conviction. And whatever is suggested often enough becomes a belief, and every belief becomes a fact in your world. I remember teaching this principle, and using the picture of a gramophone record. Imagine the needle of the old machine resting on a groove. Play the same groove long enough, and the song becomes familiar, so familiar it plays almost by itself. Suggestion works in the same way. Each time you repeat an idea with feeling, you cut a groove in the mind. Repeat it again, and the groove deepens. Soon the subconscious plays the song automatically, without effort, without resistance, until it becomes the background music of your life. If you cut the groove of fear, fear plays on repeat. If you cut the groove of faith, faith becomes the soundtrack. The subconscious cannot stop the record from playing. It only plays what has been impressed. And this is why the night is so powerful. You hold the needle, you choose the groove, and with every suggestion you decide what will echo in your world. So the key is simple. In the quiet of night, when the conscious mind grows heavy, speak to your deeper self in the language it understands. Speak gently. Speak repeatedly. Speak with conviction. Do not argue, do not beg. Do not plead with some distant God in the sky. Instead, affirm the truth as though it were already yours. Say, I am at peace. I am healed. I am prospered. I am guided. Say it softly, slowly, with feeling, and then let the words sink down into that inner chamber where all creation begins. And when you have spoken, rest, trust, give thanks as though it were already accomplished, and drift into sleep with gratitude in your heart. That is the key of suggestion. That is the way to turn the night into a holy workshop of creation. And when you do this faithfully, you will find that the mornings begin to change. The problems that once seemed immovable start to dissolve, the doors that once seemed closed begin to open, and the peace that once felt distant becomes the air you breathe. So let me leave you with this. The subconscious is always listening. It does not sleep, even when you do. It is waiting tonight for your command. Suggest to it fear, and it will create fear. Suggest to it faith, and it will create miracles. The choice is yours, the law is fixed, and the result is certain. Hold this key of suggestion with reverence, and you will discover that what you whisper in the night becomes what you live in the day. Here is something most people never stop to consider, and yet it is shaping their life every single day whether they recognize it or not. Your subconscious does not move by chance, it moves by law, and the law that governs it is the law of belief. Whatever you accept deep down, whatever you truly feel to be true, is what your subconscious takes as an order and carries out with exactness. This means that belief is not just a vague religious word, not just a comforting thought you hear in church or temple. Belief is the mechanism of creation itself. It is the law by which the invisible becomes visible, by which thought turns into fact, by which the unseen becomes seen. And here is the startling truth. The law does not ask whether your belief is good or bad, true or false, helpful or destructive. The law is impartial, and it gives form to whatever you impress upon it. Believe in failure, and failure is delivered. Believe in sickness, and sickness appears. Believe in peace, in prosperity, in healing, in guidance, and these two take shape in your experience. The law at work is as constant as the rising of the sun, as certain as the turning of the earth, and no one escapes it, for we are all governed by the thoughts we hold in the heart. Now pause with me and notice what this really means. It means you are never the victim of outside conditions in the way you thought you were. You are not at the mercy of fate, or chance, or some hostile universe. You are living out the harvest of your own beliefs. The outer world is a mirror, showing you what you have accepted within. If you see repeated struggle, repeated disappointment, repeated sickness, look not at the surface, but at the seed. Ask yourself, what belief is feeding this? What conviction is hidden in the soil of my subconscious that is bringing forth this fruit? Because the law does not err. It does not make mistakes. It brings forth exactly what has been planted, no more, no less. And once you see this, once you admit that the cause lies within, then you also see that the power to change lies within. For if belief has created your present world, then new belief can create a new one. Think of the stories from Scripture that say, according to your faith, be it done unto you. These are not mere pious sayings. They are statements of psychological truth. Every day you are living according to your faith. Faith in sickness, faith in lack, faith in conflict will create exactly that. Faith in healing, faith in abundance, faith in harmony will create exactly that. The subconscious mind is principle, and principle never fails. You never see water flow upward of its own accord. It flows according to law. You never see a stone float in air of its own accord. It falls according to law. And just as certain as gravity or buoyancy, belief is the law by which the subconscious expresses. This is why I say to you with all seriousness, guard what you believe, for it is shaping your destiny. But let me make it even simpler. Imagine you are standing in a courtroom where the subconscious is the judge. Whatever evidence you present with conviction, the judge accepts as true. The judge does not investigate further, does not call witnesses, does not ask whether the evidence is logical. If you stand there trembling, saying, I cannot succeed, I am not worthy, life is against me, the subconscious judge bangs the gavel and says, so be it, and your life unfolds in agreement. But if you stand there with quiet certainty and declare, I am guided, I am healed, I am prospered, the power of life is within me, the judge gives the same answer. So be it. The courtroom does not decide whether you spoke wisely or foolishly. It only enforces the ruling of your belief. And so the world outside will always conform to the ruling inside. Do you see how liberating this is? It means you are never waiting on the universe to favor you, never depending on luck or chance. You are working with law, and law is faithful. It responds to belief every time. If you change the cause, the effect must change. If you change the belief, the condition must follow. The law at work is this. What you accept and feel as true will inevitably show itself in your world. Nothing can stop it, nothing can delay it, nothing can alter it but you. And once you grasp this, once you truly see that belief is the steering wheel of destiny, you can no longer take your thoughts lightly. You can no longer allow yourself to rehearse failure and doubt, for you know the law is listening. You must begin, here and now, to plant new beliefs, to water them with feeling, to guard them with faith, and to let the subconscious do its perfect work. For the law at work is always creating, always expressing, and the only question that remains is, What belief will you give it tonight? Here is the hard truth that most seekers discover too late. It is not that their prayers are weak, nor that the universe is deaf, nor that God is far away. No, the real problem is that their prayers are sabotaged at the very root by the hidden poisons of the mind. A man or woman can speak the most beautiful words, can repeat affirmations all night long, can even cry out with desperation, but if deep down in the heart there still lingers fear, or doubt, or guilt, or resentment, then the subconscious cannot accept the suggestion. It is like trying to plant a rose seed in soil filled with stones and weeds. You may drop the seed, but it cannot take root, for the ground is already choked with something else. And so many people live in frustration, wondering why they pray yet see no results, why they affirm yet see no change, why they repeat words but wake up to the same conditions again and again. The answer is simple. Their inner garden has been taken over by the saboteurs of prayer. Think first of doubt. Doubt is like a thief at the gate of your subconscious. You speak your prayer with one breath, and with the very next you whisper, "But what if it does not work?" And the subconscious, impartial and obedient, receives both commands. It hears, "Heal me," and "I cannot be healed." It hears, "Prosper me," and "I will always be in lack." It hears, "Guide me," and "I do not know what to do." And because the two suggestions are contradictory, they cancel each other, leaving the subconscious with nothing firm to build upon. A house divided against itself cannot stand, and a mind divided between faith and doubt cannot manifest. Then consider fear. Fear is prayer in disguise, a prayer for the very thing you do not want. It paints vivid pictures. It stirs deep emotions. It makes the body tremble, and these are the very elements that give suggestion its power. And so fear plants seeds more quickly than almost any other thought. A person can fear sickness until the body shows symptoms, can fear poverty until opportunities dry up, can fear loneliness until every relationship fades. Fear is powerful not because it is real, but because it is felt. And the subconscious does not know the difference between what is feared and what is desired. It only knows what has been impressed. Now think of guilt. Guilt is the hidden chain that binds the soul, the secret voice that whispers, "You do not deserve blessing." A person can pray for prosperity, but if guilt tells them they are unworthy, the subconscious will not permit them to keep wealth. A person can pray for love, but if guilt says they are unlovable, the subconscious will arrange circumstances to confirm that belief. Guilt is subtle, but it is devastating, for it denies the good even when the good is offered, and unless it is rooted out and replaced with forgiveness, it will always sabotage the prayer at its source. And finally, consider resentment. Resentment is the poison that eats the vessel that carries it. You may say words of love and harmony, but if your heart burns with anger against another, the subconscious will take that anger and express it as conflict, sickness, or misfortune. Resentment is a prayer for separation, and it will never permit unity while it lives in the mind. To resent is to rehearse injury, to relive the wound, and each rehearsal strengthens the seed of bitterness, and bitterness cannot produce blessing. So these are the saboteurs of prayer: doubt, fear, guilt, and resentment. They are the stones and thorns in the soil of the subconscious. They do not simply weaken your prayer, they overturn it. They choke it before it can grow. And until they are removed, no amount of repetition or ritual will bring results. This is why I tell you plainly: before you pray, clear your heart. Forgive those who have wronged you. Release the guilt of yesterday. Lay down your fears. Silence your doubts. For when the soil is cleared, the seed of belief can finally take root. And once it takes root, the harvest is certain. Now that we have named the saboteurs of prayer, it is not enough to simply recognize them. We must remove them and replace them with their opposites. For the subconscious mind cannot be left empty. You cannot tear up the weeds and leave bare ground, for bare ground will soon grow weeds again. No, the law of mind requires substitution. Every negative thought, every destructive emotion must be dissolved, and then replaced with its positive counterpart, because nature abhors a vacuum, and the subconscious will always seek to fill itself with something. If you drive out fear but do not plant faith, fear will return. If you release resentment but do not plant love, anger will find its way back. If you let go of guilt but do not plant forgiveness, condemnation will creep in again. And so the great secret is not only to expel the poison, but to introduce the antidote. Let us take them one by one. Fear, as I told you, is prayer in reverse. Its antidote is faith. Faith is not a vague hope or a desperate wish. It is the deep knowing that the power within you is greater than anything outside you. When fear pictures failure, faith pictures success. When fear whispers, "You cannot," faith declares, "With God all things are possible." And the subconscious, being faithful to whatever image it is fed, will accept faith as readily as it accepts fear. The difference is only in what you choose to repeat. If you feel fear rising in the night, replace it immediately with a word of faith. Say softly, "I am guided, I am safe, I am at peace," until the rhythm of those words drives the poison out and plants the seed of belief. Now consider resentment. Its antidote is love. Love is the one force that dissolves bitterness at the root. And by love I do not mean sentimental words, but the recognition that the same divine life that flows through you flows through every soul. When you affirm, "God's love fills my heart, and I send goodwill to all," the subconscious receives this as a command to harmonize your relationships, to dissolve conflict, to bring unity where there was division. Love is stronger than hatred, and when impressed upon the subconscious with feeling, it will heal wounds you thought were permanent. Then there is guilt. Its antidote is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only pardoning others, it is also pardoning yourself. It is the act of releasing the past and declaring, "I am free. God has not condemned me, and I will not condemn myself." When you speak words of forgiveness, you unlock chains that have bound you for years. The subconscious accepts the release and begins to express freedom in your outer life. You may find doors opening, opportunities arriving, health improving, all because the weight of guilt has been lifted. And remember this: forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It is not excusing the wrong. It is refusing to let the wrong poison you any longer. Finally, doubt. Its antidote is confidence. Confidence is the quiet assurance that what you have impressed upon your subconscious will manifest, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because law is at work. You do not doubt the sun will rise tomorrow. You do not doubt that a seed planted in fertile soil will grow. In the same way, you must cease doubting the prayer you have planted. Instead, declare with calm certainty, "It is done. I rest in faith. The law is working for me now." The subconscious, hearing this steady tone, takes it as fact, and sets about arranging your world accordingly. So when you replace fear with faith, resentment with love, guilt with forgiveness, and doubt with confidence, you clear the soil of your mind and plant roses where once there were thorns. You change the chemistry of your inner life, and the outer life must follow. For the subconscious, the impartial and exact, always expresses what it is impressed with. If you want a harvest of peace, plant peace. If you want prosperity, plant prosperity. If you want love, plant love. And never forget, the poison cannot survive once the antidote is applied. Replace the poison, and your prayers will no longer be sabotaged. They will be heard, received, and expressed, for the soil is ready and the seed is sound. Here is the mistake most people make, and it is the one mistake that quietly cancels their prayers night after night. They speak the words, but they never allow the words to become feeling. They repeat phrases. They recite affirmations. They whisper lines from scripture or teachings. But their heart is cold, their imagination is empty, and their subconscious, hearing nothing but hollow sounds, remains unmoved. You see, the subconscious does not respond to words as words. It does not understand English or French or any human language. It understands one thing only: feeling. The emotional charge behind the words is the signal that pierces through and imprints the deeper mind. This is why a child's fear can produce nightmares, while a man's casual statement without emotion, fades into nothing. The law of the subconscious is simple. What is felt as true is impressed, and what is impressed is expressed. So when you say, I am healed, I am wealthy, I am at peace, but deep inside you feel sick, poor, and anxious, the subconscious receives not the words but the feeling. It hears the tremor of doubt, it feels the vibration of fear, and it takes those as the true command. And this is why so many who practice affirmations grow frustrated. They chant the right sentences, but they never bring their heart into alignment, and without feeling, the words are powerless. Imagine trying to light a fire with wood but no flame. The material is there, but the spark is missing. In the same way, your words are wood, your feelings are flame, and together they ignite the subconscious into action. Now let me give you an image. Picture a man standing in front of a locked door, with a key in his hand. He knows the key is correct, but he only taps it against the door instead of turning it in the lock. He grows angry, shouting, "The door will not open, the key does not work." But the truth is, the key must be used as it was designed to be used. Words without feeling are keys tapped against the door. Words with feeling are keys turned in the lock. And when the lock turns, the door opens effortlessly. This is why Joseph Murphy insisted that your affirmations must be soaked in emotion, that you must feel the joy of the answer as if it were already yours, that you must imagine the scene vividly and give thanks as though the desire were fulfilled. For the subconscious does not wait until tomorrow to accept. It accepts now, in the present moment, whatever is felt as real. Let me make this practical. Suppose you are seeking healing. Do not simply repeat, I am healed, while secretly scanning your body for pain. Instead, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine the warmth of health flowing through you. Feel the relief, the ease, the strength in your limbs, and let gratitude rise in your heart as though the healing were already accomplished. Speak softly. Every cell is made whole. I give thanks for my radiant health. And let your imagination confirm it. That feeling of gratitude, that sensation of wholeness, is the true language of the subconscious. Now, suppose you are seeking prosperity. Do not mutter, I am rich, while counting your debts in your head. Instead, see yourself paying every bill with ease. See your table filled with abundance. See your hands open to give generously. Feel the freedom, the joy, the relief, and whisper, wealth, success, I am prospered, I give thanks. That wave of joy, that lift of spirit, that is the seed the subconscious will accept. So I tell you, stop bullying your mind with mechanical words. Stop begging, stop pleading, stop repeating sentences you do not believe. Instead, enter the state of feeling. Relax your body, quiet your mind, and let the words you choose be filled with emotion, with gratitude, with conviction. See it in your imagination. Feel it in your heart. Give thanks as though it were already so. Then you will have moved beyond words to the true language of creation. And when words become feeling, the subconscious accepts them without resistance, and the law of belief begins its certain work. This is the difference between empty prayer and answered prayer, between idle repetition and miraculous results. Always remember, words are the shell, feeling is the life. Without feeling, prayer is dead. With feeling, prayer is alive. And what is alive must grow, must blossom, must manifest. Now we step into the very heart of the practice, and I want you to hear this with fresh ears, because for too long prayer has been wrapped in mystery, coated with superstition, and burdened with the idea that it is a plea to some distant power who may or may not listen. I tell you plainly, prayer is not begging, prayer is not bargaining, prayer is not casting words into the dark and hoping something will answer. Prayer is scientific. It follows law. It works with precision, just as surely as gravity pulls a stone to the ground, or as surely as a seed, once buried, will break open and sprout. The science of prayer is this. Choose the idea you desire to see expressed, impress it upon your subconscious with feeling, and persist until the subconscious accepts it as true. That is all. And once it accepts, the expression is inevitable. Most people think of science as belonging only to laboratories and textbooks, but science simply means knowledge of how something works, and once you know how it works, you can repeat it and get the same results every time. A farmer knows that if he plants corn in good soil, waters it, and waits, corn will grow, not wheat. That is science. It is knowledge applied. In the same way, when you impress health upon the subconscious, health must come forth. When you impress wealth, wealth must take form. When you impress peace, peace must manifest. And when you impress fear, sickness, or lack, those too will appear, because the subconscious is exact and impartial, giving form to whatever it receives. So prayer is simply the act of planting consciously instead of unconsciously. It is the method by which you, the captain of your soul, choose the seed, place it in the soil of the deeper mind, and allow the law to bring forth the harvest. Let me give you a picture. Imagine standing at the controls of a great machine, a machine that runs night and day, never sleeping, never tiring. This machine can build palaces, or prisons, gardens or wastelands, joy or sorrow, depending entirely on the instructions you feed it. Most people, unaware of how the machine works, feed it scraps of worry, fragments of fear, and whispers of doubt. And then they are shocked when the machine faithfully produces more problems, more lack, more struggle. But once you understand that this machine is your subconscious mind, once you see that it responds to suggestion and belief, then you realize you can feed it deliberately, systematically, scientifically. That is prayer. Prayer is the blueprint you place in the machine. The subconscious takes the blueprint, multiplies it, and constructs it in your world. This is why Joseph Murphy called it scientific prayer. He knew that if you followed the steps correctly, the result was as certain as any natural law. The steps are not difficult, but they require sincerity. First, you must clearly decide what you want. Not confusion, not a vague wish, but a definite desire. Healing, prosperity, guidance, harmony, whatever it may be, name it clearly. Second, you must form that desire into a statement or picture that the subconscious can grasp. This is where affirmations and visualization come in. You may say, "Every cell in my body is filled with divine life." Or you may picture yourself walking freely, whole and strong. Third, you must add feeling. You must feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude, as though it were already true. And fourth, you must persist. Do not cancel it out with doubt. Do not uproot the seed with worry. Do not reverse it with fear. Hold steady, and let the subconscious do the rest. So you see, prayer is scientific because it is repeatable, reliable, and exact. It does not depend on mood swings or chance. It does not matter who you are, where you live, or what creed you follow. The law of mind works for all, saint and sinner alike, just as gravity pulls the stone for all. And this is the greatest liberation. You do not need to plead with heaven. You need only align with law. Once you know how to plant, you can plant deliberately. Once you know how to impress, you can impress with faith. Once you know how to persist, you can persist with confidence, and then you will see the results. Not sometimes, not maybe, but as surely as the harvest follows the seed. So tonight, when you prepare to pray before sleep, do not think of it as a ritual of chance. Think of it as scientific method. You are selecting your seed. You are planting it in the fertile soil of the subconscious. You are watering it with faith and gratitude. And you are resting, knowing that the law will bring forth the fruit in its time. That is the certainty of prayer. That is its power. That is why it works. What I am about to share with you is the very heart of this practice, the formula that takes prayer out of the realm of chance and brings it into the realm of certainty. For many people, prayer is like throwing a message into the sea in a bottle, hoping some unseen force will find it and answer. But prayer, when rightly understood, is exact. It is not random. It is not uncertain. It is not dependent on the favor of some external power. It is a law, and like all laws, It works the same way every time when you follow the steps. These steps are threefold: desire, impression, and persistence. Simple words, yet they carry the entire science of transformation within them. Let us begin with desire. Nothing moves in your subconscious without desire. Desire is the spark that ignites the engine, the force that stirs the imagination, the magnet that draws all things into alignment. But here is the key. The desire must be clear, not vague. Too many people come to the night prayer with confusion, saying, "I want something better," but never defining what that better is. The subconscious cannot work with shadows. It needs a definite image, a definite seed. Just as a farmer must decide whether he plants corn or wheat, so must you decide whether you seek healing, wealth, peace, or guidance. Desire is the seed, and you must choose it deliberately. Once you know what you want, even if it is as simple as, "I am at peace," or "I am prosperous," you have given the subconscious a clear instruction. Without clear desire, prayer drifts into the void. With clear desire, prayer takes root and begins to shape reality. The second step is impression. Once the desire is chosen, it must be impressed upon the subconscious in the language the subconscious understands, which is not the language of logic or argument, but the language of feeling and imagery. Impression is the act of taking the desire from the surface of the conscious mind and pressing it into the depths of the subconscious, where it can begin its work. This is why words alone are not enough. You must feel the desire as though it were already fulfilled. You must imagine the scene vividly, see it in your mind's eye, rehearse it in your inner world. Speak the affirmation, yes, but speak it with conviction, with joy, with gratitude. When you say, "I am healed," let yourself feel the lightness of health. When you say, "I am prosperous," let yourself feel the freedom of abundance. When you say, "I am guided," let yourself feel the calm of knowing. These feelings impress the idea, stamp it onto the subconscious, and once stamped, the law goes to work. And then comes the third step, the one most people forget: persistence. For it is not enough to plant a seed once and walk away. The soil of your subconscious is fertile, yes, but it is also filled with old patterns, old weeds, old habits of thought. To ensure your seed takes root, you must persist. Repeat the prayer night after night, not with strain or anxiety, but with steady faith. Continue until the subconscious accepts it as fact. For once the subconscious accepts, the matter is settled, the result is certain. The outer world must conform to the inner blueprint, and this persistence is not about force, but about consistency. Just as the farmer waters his seed daily, trusting the unseen process, so must you return to your prayer faithfully, knowing that though you cannot yet see the sprout, the growth is happening in secret. Desire, impression, persistence. These are the three steps. Decide clearly what you want. Impress it with feeling upon the subconscious. Persist until it takes root. And I assure you, when these steps are followed, the result is not maybe, not sometimes, but always. The subconscious does not fail to express what it accepts. It cannot, for that is its law. And once you understand this, you no longer pray with desperation, but with confidence. You no longer wonder if your words will be heard, but you know they are already heard, already accepted, already creating, and you can rest, giving thanks, because the work is done. That is the beauty of this method. That is why it has been called the scientific prayer. It is not superstition, it is law. And when you practice it tonight, you will discover for yourself the certainty of these three steps: desire, impression, persistence. Now, let us come to the reason why I emphasize the night above all other hours, the reason why I tell you that the last 5 or 10 minutes before sleep are the golden moments of your day. It is because in that drowsy state, when you are neither fully awake nor fully asleep, when the mind is soft and the body grows heavy, the gate to the subconscious is open wider than at any other time. The conscious mind, with all its chatter, its doubts, its reasoning, its endless arguments, begins to grow quiet. The inner critic that says, "That can't be true," or "This will never work," starts to fall silent, and what you suggest in that moment passes straight through to the deeper self without resistance. It is as though the guard at the door of the treasure house has grown sleepy, and the thoughts you whisper slip by unnoticed, taking their place in the vault of the subconscious, where they will be multiplied and brought forth. Think of it this way. During the busy hours of the day, your conscious mind is like a strict gatekeeper. Every idea you try to plant must first be interrogated, questioned, and often rejected. You may say to yourself, "I am wealthy, I am prosperous." But the gatekeeper checks the bank account, laughs, and says, "No, that is not true." You may affirm, "I am healed," but the gatekeeper notices the pain in your body and says, "Impossible." And so the suggestion never reaches the soil of the subconscious. But at night, when you are drowsy, when your body relaxes and your eyelids grow heavy, the gatekeeper dozes. The suggestion slides past, unchecked, and the subconscious accepts it without debate. That is why night is the best time. That is why I tell you, plant the seed in those final moments before sleep. For the soil is soft and the seed will sink deep. There is a story I once told of a man who suffered from stage fright. Every time he prepared to sing before an audience, fear would seize him, his throat would tighten, and his performance would falter. He had tried affirmations in the day, but the conscious mind always argued back, saying, "You are afraid. You will fail." Then I instructed him to practice his affirmations at night. In that drowsy state just before sleep, he would lie in bed, half awake, and quietly repeat, "I sing with confidence, my voice is clear, I am at ease." He did this night after night, and within weeks the fear vanished. Why? Because the suggestions bypassed the gatekeeper and reached the subconscious, which accepted them and began to express them as fact. His outer experience changed because his inner blueprint had been rewritten in the night. So do not underestimate this drowsy state. It is the golden bridge between the conscious and subconscious. It is the narrow door through which every prayer must pass. If you plant fear at that moment, fear will grow. If you plant faith, faith will grow. And because the subconscious never sleeps, it continues working all through the night, reproducing the seed you dropped in those final moments. This is why many wake up feeling worse when they go to bed worrying, and why others wake up with fresh ideas and inspiration when they go to bed affirming peace. The night magnifies what you give it. It is the womb of tomorrow, and the drowsy state is the moment of conception. So tonight, when you find yourself drifting, do not waste that moment on idle worry or casual thought. Choose deliberately. Whisper the prayer you want fulfilled. Feel the reality as though it were already so. Let gratitude flood your heart as you drift into sleep. And know this: the subconscious has already received the command, and while you sleep, it will work tirelessly, silently, faithfully to bring it to pass. That is why I say to you again and again, the drowsy state is the golden hour, the most sacred time of the day. Guard it well, for it holds the power to reprogram your destiny. Here is something that will surprise many, because for years they have been taught the exact opposite. Begging in prayer does not move the subconscious, and pleading with some distant God does not bring results. In fact, the very act of begging reveals to your deeper mind that you believe you do not already have, and the subconscious, impartial as always, accepts that belief and continues to reproduce lack. Think of it carefully. When a person cries out, "Please heal me, please prosper me, please guide me," they are affirming, with every repetition, "I am sick, I am poor, I am lost." The subconscious hears the state of lack more loudly than it hears the words of desire. It always listens to the feeling beneath the words, and begging is filled with desperation, fear, and doubt. And so, instead of planting the seed of fulfillment, it plants the seed of absence. The subconscious then faithfully expresses the state it was impressed with, and the person wonders why nothing has changed, why their prayers rise no higher than the ceiling. Contrast this with the prayer of quiet conviction. Conviction does not cry or plead. It calmly declares. It does not argue, it affirms. It does not strain, it rests. The man or woman who prays with conviction says softly, "It is done. I give thanks." And in that tone the subconscious hears acceptance. The feeling is not one of desperation but of certainty, and because the subconscious always takes feeling as fact, it goes to work immediately to express the conviction in outer form. Imagine a king giving a command. He does not shout until his throat is raw. He speaks once with authority, and the order is carried out. Your subconscious is the loyal servant, and when you speak with conviction, it accepts the order as final. Let me give you a story that illustrates this difference. A woman once came to me with insomnia. Night after night she prayed, "Please let me sleep, please God, I beg you, let me sleep." But the more she begged, the more sleepless she became. Why? Because her subconscious heard, "I cannot sleep, I cannot sleep," and faithfully kept her awake. I instructed her to change her approach. Instead of begging, I asked her to affirm quietly, as she lay in bed, "I give thanks for peaceful sleep. God's love surrounds me, and I rest." She was to speak these words slowly, gently, feeling the relief of already being at rest. Within a week, her insomnia vanished. Not because she forced it, but because she shifted from struggle to ease, from begging to conviction. Her subconscious accepted the new suggestion, and her body obeyed. This is the difference between effort and ease. Effort pushes against the subconscious. Ease slips into it. Struggle keeps the conscious mind awake and tense. Quiet conviction allows the conscious to relax and lets the seed fall into the fertile soil. Remember, your subconscious is not swayed by volume or by desperation. It is swayed by feeling and by repetition. A calm whisper of truth, spoken in faith, is more powerful than hours of loud pleading. The subconscious is like the soil. You cannot shout a seed into growth, but you can place it gently, cover it, water it, and trust the law of life to do the rest. So tonight, as you prepare for your prayer, release the strain. Do not beg, do not plead, do not cry out as though heaven were far away. Instead, rest in the knowing that the power is already within you. Speak your affirmation softly, feel it as real, give thanks, and let it go. Trust that the subconscious has received it, because it has. And then sleep in peace, knowing the law is at work. This is why begging fails, but conviction works. This is why struggle exhausts, and faith restores. And this is why the night prayer must always be practiced with ease, with quiet assurance, with gratitude, for in that state the subconscious accepts and creates without resistance. Health is the natural state of your body, just as harmony is the natural state of your soul, and when you remind the subconscious of this truth, it will work night and day to restore it. Too many people fall into the habit of speaking sickness to themselves, repeating words like, "I'm getting worse," or "This pain will never leave." And each phrase is a seed of disease planted into the fertile soil of the subconscious. The body, being the servant of the mind, simply obeys the pattern it is given. But here is the liberating truth. The same law that makes sickness grow can just as easily bring health when you plant the right suggestion. If you impress upon the subconscious the image of wholeness, if you affirm that every cell is alive with divine intelligence, if you feel gratitude, as though the healing were already complete, then the body will reorganize itself to match that image. For the body is not the master but the servant, and the subconscious is the commanding voice. Now let me paint the picture clearly. Suppose you are lying in bed at night, your body weary, perhaps in pain. Instead of focusing on the sensation, instead of rehearsing the fear of what tomorrow's diagnosis may be, close your eyes and imagine the healing already done. Whisper softly, "Every cell of my body is made whole. Divine life flows through me now. I am strong. I am well. I am at peace." Do not shout it. Do not force it. But let the words carry the feeling of relief, the feeling of gratitude, as if you were already walking in perfect health. The subconscious does not know the difference between what is real in the outer world and what is vividly imagined in the inner world. If you feed it the picture of health with emotion, It will take that as fact and begin to restore the body to harmony. I remember a man who once came to me with severe arthritis. His joints were stiff, his nights sleepless. He had tried medicine after medicine, but still he suffered. I instructed him to practice this simple prayer each night. God's healing power is flowing through me now. My joints are supple, my body is whole, I am free. I told him to imagine himself climbing stairs with ease, to see himself moving freely, to feel the joy of flexibility. He did this faithfully, not with strain, but with quiet persistence, and within months he was walking without pain. The doctors were surprised, but I was not. The subconscious had received the suggestion of health, and the body, being obedient, carried it out. So let this be your practice tonight. Before you drift into sleep, affirm gently and with feeling, every cell in my body is filled with divine life. Healing is mine now. I am grateful. See yourself already restored. Breathe as though peace is already flowing through you, and then rest. Your subconscious will work all through the night, repairing, renewing, restoring, bringing forth the health you have impressed upon it. And when you wake, do not check for pain first. Give thanks first. Declare again, I am whole, I am well, and carry the conviction with you into the day. For health is not a distant dream. It is the natural law of your being, and the subconscious, once impressed, must restore it. Wealth, like health, is not something foreign or unnatural. It is the expression of the abundance of life, and when rightly understood, it is as normal and divine as the air you breathe or the water that flows in a river. Too often people have been taught to see wealth as something far away, as something reserved for a chosen few, or even as something wrong to desire. They beg for prosperity, while secretly believing they do not deserve it, and in doing so they plant seeds of lack instead of seeds of supply. But I tell you plainly, the universe is overflowing with abundance. Look at the stars in the sky, the grains of sand on the shore, the leaves on the trees. Nature is lavish, generous, unlimited, and when you align your mind with this truth, when you impress upon your subconscious the conviction that you are meant to prosper, then wealth must flow to you, because the subconscious, impartial and exact, will bring forth the conditions that match the image it has received. Imagine this at night as you prepare to rest. Instead of counting debts, instead of rehearsing unpaid bills, or anxieties about tomorrow's needs, close your eyes and picture yourself already living in abundance. See yourself paying every bill with ease, giving generously to others, enjoying the comforts of a prosperous life. Feel the relief of financial freedom, the joy of having more than enough, the gratitude of knowing that supply is yours now. And then whisper the simple words that Joseph Murphy himself taught. Wealth, success. Wealth, success. I give thanks for divine abundance flowing freely into my life. Say it slowly, rhythmically, like a lullaby to the subconscious. Let the words sink deep into the soil of your mind. Do not argue with them. Do not check your bank account to confirm them, for the outer always lags behind the inner. Simply affirm and feel, and let the subconscious begin its silent work of reprogramming your destiny. There is a story of a salesman who struggled year after year to make ends meet. He worked hard, but every month ended the same way: scarcity, frustration, lack. He came across these teachings and began to change his nightly ritual. Instead of going to bed with worry about his sales, he began to affirm, every day in every way my sales are improving. I am guided, prospered, and supplied. At first nothing seemed different, but he persisted, night after night. He planted the seed, and soon opportunities began to appear: new clients, better deals, unexpected orders. Within months his income had multiplied. Was it magic? No. It was law. The subconscious, having accepted the suggestion of prosperity, began to draw people, ideas, and circumstances into alignment with it. His outer world reshaped itself to match the inner conviction. So when you pray for wealth tonight, do not beg, do not strain, do not plead with some external source. Know that abundance is already within you, waiting to be expressed. Speak your affirmation softly. wealth, success. I am prospered in all ways. I give thanks now. Feel the joy of abundance as though it were already here. Give thanks as if it were already done. And then sleep in peace, knowing that the subconscious has received the seed and will work through channels you cannot yet see to bring it forth. Opportunities, ideas, people, and resources will begin to move toward you, not by chance, but by law. And when you wake, carry the spirit of gratitude with you. Do not return to thoughts of lack. Continue to affirm. Continue to expect. Continue to give thanks. For wealth is not a matter of luck or favor. It is the natural expression of your belief. Plant the seed tonight, and the harvest of prosperity must surely follow. Of all the prayers people bring to their pillow at night, perhaps none is so common as the cry for guidance. They say, "I don't know what to do. I don't know which way to turn. I don't know which decision is right." And so they toss and turn, their mind filled with confusion, rehearsing possibilities, fearing mistakes. But I tell you the truth. You were never meant to walk in darkness. Within you is the same intelligence that guides the planets in their orbits, the same wisdom that causes the seed to know how to become a tree, the same divine order that makes the seasons turn and the tide rise and fall. This wisdom is not outside you, it is within you. It speaks through the quiet voice of the subconscious, and when you ask for guidance in the right way, when you impress upon the deeper mind the idea that the answer is already yours, then the subconscious begins to arrange circumstances, reveal insights, and open doors in ways your conscious mind could never have planned. At night, when you lie down in that drowsy state, release the strain of trying to figure everything out with logic. The conscious mind, useful as it is during the day, is limited. It sees only fragments. It calculates only with what is known. But the subconscious connects to the infinite, and it knows the end from the beginning. So instead of wrestling with the problem, speak gently to your deeper self. Say, "Infinite intelligence within me knows the answer. My subconscious now reveals it to me clearly. I am guided. I am directed. I am shown the way." Repeat these words softly, as if you were whispering them into the ear of a beloved friend. Feel the relief of handing over the burden. Feel the peace of knowing the answer already exists. And then let go. Drift into sleep with gratitude, and the subconscious will take the seed and begin its work. There is a story of a businessman who faced a decision that could make or break his future. He had analyzed every detail, consulted every advisor, yet he was still uncertain. He began to practice this night prayer for guidance. Each evening, as he grew drowsy, he repeated, "Infinite intelligence within me reveals the perfect plan. I am guided now." He did not beg, he did not force, he did not strain. He simply affirmed and trusted. After several nights, he awoke with a clear, sudden idea, so simple and so direct that he wondered why he had not seen it before. He followed the guidance, and it led to the success he sought. Was it coincidence? No. It was the law of the subconscious at work, bringing the answer from the depths of wisdom into conscious awareness. So tonight, if you are standing at a crossroads, do not carry the burden of confusion into your sleep. Do not toss and turn with what ifs and I don't knows. Instead, place the matter gently in the hands of your deeper self. Affirm with feeling, "The answer is mine now. My subconscious knows and I give thanks." Then let it go. Trust that the wisdom within you is already moving, already guiding, already arranging the path. When you wake, be attentive to the quiet hunch, the subtle thought, the unexpected opportunity. For guidance often comes not as a thunderclap, but as a whisper, a nudge, a clear sense of knowing. And when it comes, act with confidence, for you will know that it is the result of the seed you planted in the night. This is the way of guidance. Simple, certain, and sure. When you allow the subconscious to do its perfect work, peace is the foundation of all good, and without it no amount of wealth, no measure of health, no abundance of opportunities can satisfy the soul. A person may have money in the bank, friends in plenty, work to occupy their days, but if the heart is restless, if the mind is troubled, if the spirit is tossed to and fro like a ship without anchor, then life is but a storm without calm. And how often it is that men and women lie awake at night, their bodies exhausted but their minds racing, chasing after the worries of tomorrow, replaying the regrets of yesterday, unable to settle into the stillness of now. They do not realize that peace is not something to be earned, not something to be granted from outside, but something already within them, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be claimed, waiting to be spoken into life through the power of suggestion and prayer. So let us speak of the prayer for peace, the practice that quiets the storm and opens the door to rest. When you lie down at night, and the day has left you weary, do not permit your last thoughts to be filled with noise. Do not surrender to the endless voices of fear and regret. Instead, close your eyes, breathe slowly, and affirm with gentle conviction, God's love fills my heart. I sleep in peace. His presence surrounds me, and I rest in safety. Say it softly, say it slowly, let the rhythm of the words cradle you like a lullaby. Feel the weight of the body sinking into the bed, feel the shoulders release their burden, feel the heart open as if a soft light were filling it. These words are not mere poetry, they are the seeds of tranquility, and the subconscious, receiving them, will bring forth calmness in your body, harmony in your relationships, clarity in your mind, for peace within always creates peace without. I recall the story of a woman who came to me, tormented by years of anxiety. Every night her mind raced with dread. She would pray, yes, but her prayers were frantic, desperate, filled with fear. I taught her this simple formula. God's love surrounds me, enfolds me, and makes me whole. I am safe, I am calm, I sleep in peace. She repeated it faithfully each night, not as a struggle, but as a release. Within weeks, her nights were transformed. The tossing and turning ceased, the tightness in her chest dissolved, and she awoke each morning refreshed, renewed, and filled with strength. The outer world of her life improved as well. Her relationships softened, her work grew lighter, her days flowed more easily. Why? Because the subconscious, impressed with peace, began to create peace in every direction of her life. So tonight, if your mind is troubled, if your heart is heavy, if the noise of the day still echoes in your soul, take these words with you into sleep. God's love fills my heart. I rest in peace. His presence surrounds me, and I am safe. Feel the truth of them. Let gratitude rise as though you already taste the calm, already breathe the stillness, already rest in the eternal arms of love. And then sleep, knowing the subconscious has taken the seed, and it will work all through the night to weave harmony into your being. When you awaken, you will not only feel refreshed, you will find that the peace you impressed within has begun to radiate outward, touching your work, your family, your world. This is the power of the night prayer for peace. It heals the restless mind, it calms the storming heart, and it anchors the soul in the still waters of divine presence. Now we come to a truth that is simple, yet so often missed. The subconscious does not respond to shouting. It does not bend beneath the whip of willpower. It does not yield to force. It opens only to gentleness, to softness, to suggestions spoken with quiet faith. Many people fail in their practice of prayer and affirmation because they try to bully the deeper mind. They clench their fists, grit their teeth, and repeat phrases with strain in their voices, as though the sheer weight of effort could push the idea down into the subconscious. But the subconscious is like a child, tender and impressionable, or like soil, receptive and soft. It is not moved by struggle, but by calmness. It does not respond to harshness, but to repetition and feeling spoken in a tone of ease. Imagine for a moment a mother lulling her child to sleep. She does not shout the lullaby. She does not command the child to rest. She sings softly, gently, and the child, soothed by the rhythm and the tone, drifts into slumber. This is the way of the subconscious. It falls asleep to the suggestions you give it, not when you thunder with force, but when you whisper with calm conviction. Each repetition, spoken slowly and lovingly, sinks deeper, until the deeper mind accepts it as fact. And once it accepts, it acts without hesitation. So the secret is not more effort but less, not more strain but more trust. The softer the approach, the more receptive the subconscious becomes. There is a man I once taught who was desperate to change his circumstances. He would stand before the mirror every night and shout his affirmations. I am successful. I am rich. I am powerful. But each morning he would wake exhausted, and nothing in his life changed. I told him, stop shouting at your mind as though it were an enemy. Treat it as a friend. Whisper softly, slowly, calmly. Wealth flows to me. Success is mine. I give thanks now. He resisted at first, thinking the gentleness would lack power, but within weeks, as he practiced softly and with feeling, opportunities began to appear, his anxiety lessened, and his world shifted. Why? Because his subconscious finally received the suggestion without resistance. The seed, dropped gently, found the soil ready, and growth began. So when you practice the night prayer, remember this. You are not hammering at a locked door, you are planting a seed in fertile ground. The soil does not need force, it needs consistency. Speak softly, repeat steadily, feel deeply. Do not rush, do not strain. Let your words carry the fragrance of peace, the rhythm of certainty, the simplicity of truth. Whisper, I am healed, I am guided, I am at peace. And let the feeling settle, like dew upon the soil of the mind. That is how suggestion takes root. That is how the subconscious accepts. And that is why gentle suggestion always triumphs over force. There is a golden key that seals the prayer, a final touch that makes the subconscious say, this is real, this is true, this is already done. That key is gratitude. When you end your prayer with the words, I give thanks, you are not merely being polite. You are planting the feeling that the request has already been fulfilled. And this feeling of fulfillment is the very language the subconscious understands. Gratitude is proof, not to the world outside, but to your own deeper self. It says, I believe this is mine now. I feel the joy of it now. I rest in the certainty of it now. Without gratitude, the prayer may remain a wish. With gratitude, the prayer becomes a conviction. Think of how you act when you receive a gift. You do not beg the giver for it again, once it is in your hands. You do not plead for them to give what has already been given. You thank them. You smile. You rejoice. You express appreciation. This is the way prayer must be treated. You do not keep asking for what is already yours by law. You thank the infinite intelligence within for having already delivered it in the unseen, knowing that the outer expression will follow in its perfect time. By saying, I give thanks, you close the door to doubt. You silence the voice of fear. You anchor the belief in the subconscious as something complete. I recall a woman who longed for peace in her troubled household. Night after night she prayed desperately, please let there be peace. Please make them change. Please end this conflict. But her subconscious only heard the desperation, the focus on conflict, and so nothing changed. I told her to shift her words and her tone. Each night, as she drifted to sleep, she began to affirm softly, God's love fills this home. Harmony is here now. I give thanks. She pictured her family smiling together. She felt the joy of harmony, and she ended always with gratitude. Within a short time, her home began to change. Arguments softened, kindness returned, laughter was heard again. Why? Because gratitude sealed the suggestion, and the subconscious accepted it as already accomplished. So make this your practice. Whenever you speak your night prayer, whether for health, wealth, guidance, or peace, always close with thanksgiving. Whisper, I give thanks. It is done. I rest now. Let the words be more than sound. Let them be the expression of a heart already satisfied. Feel the relief, the joy, the certainty, and let that feeling be the final impression you send to the subconscious before sleep. For when the deeper mind hears gratitude, it knows the seed has been planted and received, and it begins its silent work to bring forth the harvest. Gratitude is the seal. Gratitude is the proof. Gratitude is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. And when you live in thanksgiving, your prayers are never in vain, for you are already dwelling in the state of answered prayer. There is one great obstacle that keeps more people from receiving the good they desire than perhaps any other, and that is the burden of unforgiveness. A man or woman may pray with beautiful words, may affirm health, wealth, and peace each night, may repeat their formulas faithfully, but if deep in the heart there lingers bitterness, resentment, or the memory of injury, then the channel of the subconscious is blocked, and the current of life cannot flow freely. The law is simple: as you forgive, so you are forgiven. To release others is to release yourself. To hold anger against another is to imprison your own soul. It is like trying to water your garden. While keeping a heavy stone pressed against the hose, the flow cannot reach the soil until the stone is lifted. And the subconscious, faithful as ever, cannot bring forth the harvest of prayer while it is choked by the weeds of resentment. Many people resist this truth. They say, "But I cannot forgive, for the wrong was too great. They do not deserve my forgiveness." Yet hear me clearly. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong or approving of it. Forgiveness is about setting yourself free. It is about dissolving the poison that eats your own heart. When you refuse to forgive, you bind yourself to the very person or event you most wish to escape. You rehearse it, relive it, replay it, and each rehearsal impresses the subconscious with more anger, more pain, more separation. But when you forgive, you cut the cord. You say, "I release you and I release myself. I hold no bitterness, for I am free." And the subconscious, hearing this declaration, begins to cleanse your inner life, washing away the stagnant waters of resentment and replacing them with the fresh flow of peace. I recall the story of a man who struggled for years with poverty. He prayed for prosperity. He affirmed abundance, yet nothing changed. When I questioned him, I discovered he carried deep resentment against a former business partner who had cheated him. Every night before sleep he replayed the betrayal, feeling again the anger and the loss. His subconscious, hearing this, simply continued to create lack, for it had been impressed with bitterness, not prosperity. I told him plainly, "Until you forgive, you cannot prosper. You are planting thorns where you wish to plant roses." Reluctantly, he began to practice forgiveness. Each night, he whispered, "I release you. God's love forgives you, and God's love sets me free." At first it felt empty, but he persisted. Slowly, the anger dissolved, the resentment faded, and his heart grew lighter, and soon, his business began to flourish. Opportunities appeared, income increased, and abundance flowed. Why? Because the channel had been cleared, and the law of mind could finally bring forth prosperity without obstruction. So make forgiveness a part of your night prayer. Before you impress your desire, release every grudge. Say softly, "I freely forgive everyone. I release them, and I am released. God's love fills me, and I am at peace." Let the words sink deep, let the bitterness melt, let the heart grow light. For once, forgiveness has cleared the channel. Your subconscious is free to accept new seeds, and those seeds will grow without resistance. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength. It is not defeat. It is victory. It is not loss. It is gain. It is the law that clears the channel so that the infinite riches of life may flow through you unhindered. Remember this. Every night, before you plant your prayer, clear the soil with forgiveness. Then, and only then, will your prayer bear its full fruit. Now we come to the purest secret of them all. A truth so simple that most grown men and women overlook it, though a child understands it without effort. The subconscious does not require complex reasoning. It does not demand elaborate rituals. It does not ask you to climb mountains of intellect or walk through deserts of analysis. What it asks is faith, simple, childlike faith. And by faith I do not mean a heavy burden of effort, nor a blind leap into darkness, nor a strained attempt to believe what the mind cannot accept. I mean the quiet trust of a child who places their hand in the hand of a parent and knows they are safe. I mean the serene assurance that the words spoken in prayer are true now, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. When you pray with the heart of a child, the subconscious accepts the suggestion instantly, because there is no resistance, no argument, no shadow of doubt. Think of how a child listens. If you tell a child, "Tomorrow we will go to the park," the child does not question whether the promise will be kept. They do not lie awake worrying about whether the plan will fail. They accept it, they picture it, they rejoice in it, they speak of it as certain. This is the model of prayer. When you affirm, "I am healed," you must accept it as the child accepts the promise of tomorrow's play. When you say, "I am prospered," you must rejoice as if the abundance were already here. When you declare, "I am guided," you must rest in the calm assurance that the path is already clear. The child does not question. They trust. And that trust is the very key that opens the gate of the subconscious. Too often, adults complicate what is simple. They speak their affirmations, and then immediately begin to analyze, how will this happen? When will it come? What if it does not work? And in doing so, they uproot the seed they have just planted. But the child does not do this. The child plants and leaves it alone. They believe and they rest. And this is the pattern you must recover in your own practice. Each night, as you grow drowsy, speak your prayer with the simplicity of a child. Say, "I am healed, I am guided, I am at peace, I give thanks." And then let it be. Do not argue, do not calculate, do not strain. Trust that the subconscious has received the seed, and rest in the joy of knowing the harvest is certain. I remember teaching this principle to a man weighed down with endless worry. He confessed that each night he repeated his affirmations, but with a clenched jaw, a racing heart, and a mind full of doubt. I told him to stop struggling. "Pray as a child prays," I said. "Say it once, say it softly, and then let go. Trust the law to do its work." He began to practice this, and within weeks his sleep improved, his anxiety diminished, and the very conditions he had strained for began to shift in his favor, not because he worked harder, but because he trusted more simply. Faith like a child had opened the gate, and the subconscious, once free of resistance, obeyed. So tonight, remember this. Your prayer is not a battle, it is a surrender. It is not a fight to be won, but a gift to be received. Approach it with the heart of a child, with simplicity, with joy, with trust. Say your words softly, feel them deeply, thank the infinite within you, and then let go. For faith like a child is the highest form of wisdom. It is the straightest path to the subconscious. It is the key that opens the gate, and once opened, life rushes in to meet you with health, prosperity, peace, and guidance. Before the seed of prayer can be planted, the ground must be prepared. For the subconscious accepts suggestion most readily when the conscious mind is still. If the body is restless, the breath uneven, the mind crowded with the echoes of the day, then the soil is hard, and the seed cannot sink deep. But if the body is quiet, the breath smooth, the mind softened by relaxation, then the subconscious lies open, waiting, receptive, fertile. So the first step of the complete night practice is preparation, and this preparation is not difficult, though it must be done with sincerity. You do not need special postures, elaborate rituals, or complex breathing exercises. You need only a willingness to let go. As you lie down at the close of the day, allow your body to settle fully into the bed. Feel the weight of your limbs, feel the mattress holding you, feel the quiet strength of the earth beneath you. Breathe slowly, and with each exhale, release the tension that clings to your muscles. Let your shoulders drop, let your face soften, let your hands rest gently at your sides. Say silently, "I release the day, I release the strain, I release the burden." Do not wrestle with your thoughts. Let them drift away like clouds across the sky. The more you struggle to quiet the mind, the louder it becomes. But if you simply watch, simply breathe, simply allow, the mind begins to calm itself, the thoughts begin to slow, and the silence begins to rise. This is the sacred moment of preparation, the clearing of the field before planting. I recall a man who told me, "I pray every night, but nothing happens." I asked him how he prayed, and he said, "I fall into bed exhausted, still thinking of my problems, and then I mutter a few words before sleep. I told him, "You are trying to plant seeds in soil filled with stones. Prepare first. Relax first. Clear the field before you sow." He began to take 5 minutes each night to release tension, to breathe slowly, to repeat softly, "I let go. I rest. I am safe." And to his amazement, the very prayers that once seemed empty began to bear fruit. Why? Because his subconscious was no longer crowded with noise, it was ready to receive. So tonight, before you speak a single word of prayer, prepare yourself, quiet the body, calm the breath, soften the mind. Let the burdens of the day fall away as leaves fall from a tree in autumn. Say gently, "The day is done. I rest now. I am at peace." Feel the release. Feel the stillness. Feel the readiness. For in that quiet, in that calm, in that sacred space of preparation, the soil of the subconscious is made fertile, and the seed of your night prayer will sink deep, take root, and begin to grow. Now that the body is quiet and the mind has been stilled, the soil of the subconscious lies open, soft, and ready to receive. This is the moment to plant the seed, and the seed is the affirmation, the short prayer spoken slowly, simply, and with feeling. Do not think that the power lies in many words. The power lies in the right words, spoken with conviction. A sentence filled with faith has more force than an hour of repetition filled with doubt. So choose a phrase that is simple, definite, and alive with meaning. Let it be a sentence that captures the desire of your heart in its fulfilled state. Speak it not as a wish for the future, but as a fact in the present. I am healed. I am prospered. I am guided. I am at peace. These words are short, but they are infinite in power when impressed upon the subconscious in the right state. As you speak your affirmation, do not rush. Let each word fall into the depths of the mind as though it were a seed dropped into fertile ground. Say it slowly, rhythmically, almost as if you were singing a lullaby to the deeper self. The subconscious does not respond to speed, but to steadiness. Whisper the one phrase with feeling, and let the vibration of the words sink deeper with every repetition. You are not shouting orders at a stubborn servant. You are gently instructing a faithful friend who is eager to obey. Each time you repeat the affirmation, feel the truth of it more deeply, as though you were laying another brick in the foundation of belief. There was once a woman who longed for healing after years of pain. She had tried countless affirmations, but she always spoke them quickly, anxiously, with the fear that nothing would work. I told her to stop rushing. Choose one simple phrase, I said. Say it slowly, lovingly, with gratitude. Let the words soothe you. She began to practice this, repeating each night before sleep. God's healing power is flowing through me now. Every cell is whole. I give thanks. She did not hurry. She savored each word, letting it echo softly in her mind. In time, her pain diminished, her strength returned, and her health was restored. The change came not because of the number of words, but because of the quality of her faith and the calmness of her delivery. So as you practice tonight, do not think of your affirmation as a demand or as a desperate plea. Think of it as a seed, and plant it with care. Say it slowly, say it gently, say it with conviction. Feel its reality, savor its truth, and let it settle into the soil of your subconscious. Once spoken with faith, the deeper mind has received the command, and it will work through the night to bring it forth. A short prayer said slowly, with feeling and gratitude, is the key that unlocks the infinite treasures of the subconscious. After the affirmation has been spoken slowly and gently, after the seed of the word has been dropped into the soil of the subconscious, there is another way to deepen its roots and to water it with life, and that is through the power of visualization. For the subconscious does not distinguish between what is imagined vividly and what is experienced outwardly. It accepts both as real. Every picture you impress upon it with feeling is taken as fact, and it sets in motion the law that brings the inner image into outer expression. This is why worry is so destructive, because worry is nothing more than visualization in the wrong direction. The worrier plays a mental movie of failure, loss, or pain, and the subconscious, impartial as ever, begins to reproduce it. But the very same law that makes worry create problems is the law that makes visualization create blessings. If you will learn to play the right movie in your mind, filled with the images of health, prosperity, love, and guidance, and if you will feel the joy of it as though it were happening now, then the subconscious will take that reel and run it until it becomes the film of your life. Here is how you practice it at night. After you have spoken your affirmation, close your eyes, relax deeply, and begin to picture the result as though it were already here. If you have prayed for health, see yourself walking freely, laughing with strength, enjoying the activities you once missed. Feel the vitality in your body. Feel the ease of movement. Feel the gratitude of being whole. If you have prayed for prosperity, picture yourself paying every bill easily. See the numbers in your account growing. See yourself giving freely to others, enjoying the comfort of abundance. Feel the relief, the joy, the satisfaction. If you have prayed for guidance, imagine yourself already knowing what to do, walking confidently down a clear path, speaking with certainty, acting without hesitation. Feel the calm assurance, the inner peace of being led. If you have prayed for peace, see yourself resting in quiet. See your home filled with harmony. See your relationships softened by love. Feel the tranquility, the stillness, the safety. There was once a businessman who struggled to sell his home. For months it sat unsold, and every night he went to bed with worry. I told him to stop rehearsing failure and to begin rehearsing success. Each night, as he drifted into sleep, he pictured a sold sign on the property. He imagined shaking hands with the new owner. He felt the relief of completion. Within a few weeks, the house was sold. Why? Because the subconscious accepted the movie as fact, and circumstances aligned to match it. The outer world obeyed the inner picture. So I tell you, when you pray at night, make use of this holy power of imagination. Do not leave your words bare and dry. Clothe them in pictures. Let your mind see the scene as already complete. Play it like a film until you feel it is real. Do not worry about how it will come to pass. That is the work of the subconscious. Your task is simply to hold the image, to feel the joy, to give thanks as though it were done. And when you do this faithfully, you will discover that the outer world begins to shift, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always faithfully, until the movie you once played in silence becomes the life you are living aloud. Now we come to the final step of the complete night practice, the seal that locks the prayer into the subconscious and ensures that it begins its silent work the moment you surrender to sleep. That seal is gratitude. Gratitude is not an afterthought. It is the crown of prayer. It is the proof to the subconscious that the suggestion has been accepted as real, not as a wish or a hope, but as an accomplished fact. When you give thanks, you are saying to your deeper self, "This is done, I possess it now. I rest in it now." Gratitude closes the loop of prayer, turning it from petition into possession, from longing into fulfillment. Without gratitude, the prayer may remain open, uncertain, suspended between doubt and belief. With gratitude, the prayer is settled, finished, complete. So as you finish your affirmation and visualization, breathe deeply and whisper softly, "I give thanks." Say it slowly, with feeling, not as a polite formality, but as a declaration of completion. Feel the joy of already receiving what you have asked for. Let gratitude swell in your heart, as though you were holding the gift in your hands. If you prayed for health, thank the divine life within you for restoring every cell. If you prayed for prosperity, thank the infinite supply for flowing freely into your life. If you prayed for guidance, thank the inner wisdom for already showing you the way. If you prayed for peace, thank the presence of love for surrounding and enfolding you. Gratitude is the emotion that convinces the subconscious more than anything else that the prayer is true, for the subconscious responds most powerfully to the feeling of fulfillment. I once knew a man who struggled with constant worry about money. He affirmed abundance. He visualized prosperity, yet he always ended his prayer with a sigh of doubt. I told him to change the ending, to finish every night with a wave of thanksgiving, saying aloud, I am grateful for divine supply. I thank you that all my needs are met. He began to practice this with sincerity, and something remarkable happened. His attitude shifted first. He woke up lighter, he moved through the day with more confidence, and soon unexpected income began to appear. Gratitude had sealed the prayer, and the subconscious, hearing the conviction in his thanks, began to bring forth the corresponding outer results. So tonight, do not leave your prayer half finished. Do not let it end in uncertainty. Always close with thanks. Whisper, I give thanks. It is done. I rest now in peace. Feel the relief of having already received, the joy of knowing the law is at work, the calm of resting in divine certainty. Let that be the last impression you give your subconscious before you drift into sleep, for it will carry that feeling into the night and multiply it as you rest. Gratitude is the golden seal, the final act that completes the prayer and releases it to fulfillment. With it, your night becomes not a time of worry, but a sacred workshop where dreams are woven into destiny. And when you awake, you will find that the unseen has already begun to shape the scene. And now, my friend, as we bring this long journey of the night prayer to its close, let us gather the threads into one golden cord and tie them firmly around your heart. You have seen that the moments before sleep are sacred, that the subconscious mind is most open when the conscious mind has grown quiet and drowsy. You have seen that every thought at that hour is a seed, that every seed takes root, and that every root will one day push its way into your experience. You have seen the danger of worry, how it multiplies itself like weeds, and you have seen the power of faith, how it blossoms into peace, prosperity, health, and guidance. You have learned that prayer is not begging or pleading, but a scientific method of impressing truth upon the deeper self. You have practiced affirmations spoken slowly, visualizations played like a gentle film, forgiveness that clears the channel, gratitude that seals the seed, and trust like a child that opens the gate. All of this together, is what Joseph Murphy called the master secret of the ages, the law of belief, the power of the subconscious, the night prayer that reprograms destiny. So tonight, when you lie down and the lights are dim, do not let your last thoughts be wasted on idle fears or empty regrets. Choose your seed. Plant it carefully in the garden of the subconscious. Whisper your affirmation. Picture your fulfillment. Release every grudge. Give thanks as though it were already done. And then rest. Rest in peace. Rest in trust. Rest in the certainty that the law is at work. For what you plant tonight, you will harvest tomorrow. What you impress tonight, you will express in days to come. You are no longer a victim of chance or circumstance. You are the gardener of your soul, the captain of your ship, the architect of your destiny. And when you understand this, when you practice this, life can never again be the same. And let us seal it now with a final affirmation, simple yet mighty. I am guided, I am healed, I am prosperous, I give thanks. Say it softly, let it echo in your mind, let it become the last sound in your heart before sleep. For in those words lies the whole teaching. Guidance for the mind, healing for the body, prosperity for the world, gratitude for the soul. This is the truth. This is the law. This is the way. And before we part, I must tell you this. There is one mistake almost everyone makes after praying, and it is the silent habit that cancels results before the morning light. In my next lesson, I will show you exactly what that mistake is, and how to break free from it once and for all, so that your prayers not only take root but bear fruit swiftly and surely. You do not want to miss it. Click here now and continue with me, for what we have begun tonight is only the opening of the door. The real journey lies ahead, and I want you to walk through it with me.